something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. There's battle lines being drawn. Nobody's right if everybody's wrong. Young people speaking their minds are getting so much resistance from behind. Time we stopped. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Hello, welcome to Day Release. My name is J.R.Hartley, and I'm here with Surfer Dude.
Dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
Okay, bro. I think
it's worth interesting how we met, right? Because obviously I'm a Surfer Dude, and one day I got caught up in your line with your fly fishing, your writing your book. And we decided to do a podcast together.
Yeah, I fished you out of the ocean. But, you know, to be fair, the first thing I said to you was, do you happen to know a book called Fly Fishing by J.R.Hartley?
Yeah, and I did.
You did.
It's on my shelves.
Yeah, okay.
Of the fly fishing... I found it thanks to the Yellow Pages.
Well, and we are doing our not at all anymore monthly, but as whenever we can, film reviews of recent-ish, but not that recent films. But there are within the last couple of years, although you keep choosing ones from 2023, I feel. I think we're going a bit too far back. Anyway.
Well, that's not my... It's I don't know why that is, but I think it's because there's always staggered releasing for these things, right? And because we deliberately choose things that are off the beaten path. I think if we were choosing like big new films that everyone sees, they get released everywhere in the world at the same time, right?
Yeah.
But ours are a bit more esoteric, so...
and it has to be said that usually it's my night time and Clive's in Japan, I'm in London, and I gradually get more knackered and a little bit more drunk as we go towards, and then I can barely speak by 3 a.m. And just go, and it's now my daytime and Clive's night, and you can see
so
that
it's going to be exactly the same, except you're shinier.
I'll be shinier, and Clive might get more coherent. We don't know yet. It's unprecedented territory.
Drinking?
No, I'm not. No, water.
Okay. Well, I am. I am not usually when we do it.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Right. So we're doing Harbin.
We got 5, right? 5 films to get.
5 films, yeah. Harbin, which is Korean. We're doing Infested, which is French. We're doing what's it called again?
Dead Talent Society.
Dead Talent Society, which is Taiwanese. That's Taiwanese, yeah. That's Taiwanese, yeah. That's which is on Netflix. That one, and Working Class Goes to Hell, which is Serbian, yeah, and then Shrouds, which is Cronenberg. Basically.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's not Canada or anything. It's Cronenberg country, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right.
Cronenberg can't make films that aren't Cronenberg films, right? and God bless him for it. I think. But,
yeah. All right, we'll get to that. So we'll start with Harbin. This is a sort of biographical film, I suppose, biographical drama about
historical drama.
That's the one.
Yeah.
About some Korean activists, independence activists who tried to assassinate the Japanese president. Is it? Or prime minister? That's it, I think.
Well, actually, this is interesting. So it's Hironobu. So this is actually the first
prime minister.
Prime minister. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing with Harbin was quite interesting. So it's directed by Woo Min-ho, who we've talked about before, right? Because we did The Man Standing Next a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
And we liked that. And I've seen some of his other films, Inside Man and The Drug King, which is pretty good. And so I think we were quite keen to see the new Woo Min-ho film, I think, is the reason we seized on this one, right?
But yeah.
Yeah, but I'm sure it was something you were... I don't think it was something that you were like, oh...
No, because I'd completely forgotten.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's got... I mean, this one I think we can go through quite quickly anyway, because I'll be interested to see what you thought of it, actually. But just to get my thoughts out the way and clear the room for you. So it's got a whole bunch of quite famous people playing. So it's set... It goes from 1905 to 1909. It's basically in that period of time where parts of Korea were annexed and taken over by Japan's expansionist kind of that period of time, and it's a story. I'm vaguely familiar, obviously, with that period of time. I have to admit, I didn't specifically know about this assassination of the Japanese Prime Minister by the Korean resistance, right? And it's interesting, actually, now that you think, when it's spelled out, you're thinking like, fuck, why do I not know this? Because it's easily as important as, Franz Ferdinand being shot and triggering the First World War or whatever, right? It's like, it's a pretty big fucking deal in the context of the history, right?
Yeah.
So it's a fascinating story, and we should mention as well that this film was a huge hit in Korea when it came out. Like, it broke box office records, and it was really popular. But for me, I was like, I really wanted to see a proper good film about this, real history. But unfortunately, and I'll be interested to see if you disagree with me, it kind of played out like it's a bit flat, and it's a little bit boring for a film that is actually the historical resonance that is so important.
Yeah. It's strange because I watched it with my partner. We couldn't get on with it. We had some subtitles issues, but it was like the dates didn't show up. That could have helped.
Yeah, so I think my main take on it was very interesting story, obviously very important. Unfortunately, the film, which I don't know if you've ever seen the Jean-Pierre Melville film, The Army of Shadows, about the French resistance during the Vichy in Paris.
I think, I don't know, I might have, but yeah, you know what my memory's like.
Great film. But I felt as if that was a very big influence. So I felt there was a Jean-Pierre Melville influence, and a lot of the scene. I think what I thought is, there was just, there's the character, it's the Prime Minister character, right? And they keep cutting back to him. And he's always in that same spot.
In the train, yeah.
Yeah. And I thought, somehow, like, that, something like that you shouldn't notice. If the film's absorbing you should notice. But I kept noticing, he's still in the fucking train.
Yeah. It is a long journey. He was going from, where it was, I don't know where but he was going to Russia from somewhere.
Yeah, going through China. So,
Yeah.
and eventually the assassination, spoiler alert for people who don't know the history, takes place in Harbin. But it was just, I don't know. It's not awful. And towards the
but
end.
you
of the
said
film,
it was supposed to take over place, because again, I didn't get the dates. Well, you said it's like 4 years. He wasn't on the train for 4 years.
No.
I don't know.
No, because
I guess they flash back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got interesting. I mean, I really liked, I liked that opening and the closing shot of them walking across like a frozen lake and stuff like that, and all that is pretty good. But somewhere along between the beginning and the end, I hate to admit it because we like this man's other films, and I want to like this film, but it did actually get kind of boring, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it had good cinematography. I think the fight scene was promising against, the Japanese, the sort of hand-to-hand combat bit, where it was slightly, what is that Kubrick film that I really like? Again, I always forget the name of. What's the matter with me? I'm supposed to be my daytime as well. This is just embarrassing.
Kubrick film that you really like. I mean, there's not that many of them.
Not many Kubrick films.
You say which one?
I'm talking about the sort of Regency period one.
Oh, Barry Lyndon.
Barry Lyndon. There, the fight scene was similar to that. It's something a bit reminiscent of that, right. Where it was kind of broad, wide angle, like with lots of choreography going on.
Yeah, like a master shot rather than editing.
Yeah, and everyone was in focus, so it was like, it was kind of.
We saw that when we did Man Standing Next. Like Woo Min-ho is clearly quite an interesting.
Yeah,
like he's a director of big major hit films as opposed to more like an auteur kind of director, but he's got chops. He's interesting, it was very Hollywood in its kind of construction, narratively, and sort of clunked along things. Kind of clunk is a good word. Actually, it did clunk. Like I was watching it, it wasn't like it was terrible, but it was just like. And then the clunk the next. It never really gained, because this should be exciting, right? This story,
I mean, I don't know if you can speak Korean, if it's sort of the dialogue was smooth and what a great funny bit, or you. I don't think so. The characters, the characterization of the characters didn't seem to work. No, because
they're super earnest and they're all mouthpieces, right? Rather than characters, right? They're all.
So I could kind of tell from the subtitles that they were saying sort of Hollywood cliches, like, like all the sort of tropes that you would expect with a film like that. I can't think of them, but don't go out there without, stop, don't go out there without this, and passes him, like all. Keep safe. That keeps him safe.
Jane would have wanted you to do that. Or of course the classic, 20 times better than Jim ever could.
I don't know. Was there anything else to say about that other than?
Not really. I think we both kind of. We didn't hate it, but I think we both thought of it as a bit of a disappointment.
I just didn't get on with it, and didn't find it riveting really. And there's kind of massive hit in Korea. Yeah,
that's
why. So that'll explain why it's got high ratings on the internet. Because I was thinking, but you don't think it's to do.
It's currently in some theaters here as well.
You don't think it's to do with the unbelievable jokes that you just flew over your head, or the characterizations that...
No, I don't think. I think it's in general. You make that kind of film in today's climate in Korea. It's going to meet with approval. Still, it's a very nationalistic kind of story.
It's big.
It's not awful. I'm not saying it's bad. badly told. I just personally found it a bit boring.
Well, it's been accused. I mean, you sound like you live in Japan. You sound like a Japanese mouthpiece of propaganda.
Oh no! But I read about that, and
yeah,
I did read about that. Like some people have taken against it and said it's propagandistic. To my mind, that's kind of nonsense, right? Because that's the one thing you could say in the film's favor is, I would argue that it doesn't really go out of its way to demonize. It's just pretty much, we were under occupation at this point, and this resistance, people, like, there's no, like, really evil mustache twirling.
No.
So I think that's bollocks. I don't think it's a particularly propagandistic film.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll leave you to get cancelled by the Japanese government for saying.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Who said that though? It says revisionist propaganda designed to encourage.
It's from someone you don't need to worry about. It's not a legit complaint. There's other films you could make that complaint against. But I don't think this one is. It's like I said, it's playing in theaters here now to audiences who are not being, disgusted by it or feeling offended. It's like, fair enough. That did happen, and that did happen. I mean, the film's still boring.
I think there was more was there more demonization of or characterization of Japanese in what film was it? I'm trying to remember. Was it the Donnie Yen film or?
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah. But to be honest, if anything, I think this film almost went out of its way to not do that, and was kind of aware of it maybe having a slightly more international, or at least I don't know if Harbin's playing in cinemas in London, but it's it'll play Korea, it'll play Hong Kong, it'll play some other Asian territories, and I think it's kind of designed to it's not a film designed to kind of dig up and rethink history or anything, but at the same time it's a shoe-in that it'll be a pretty big hit in South Korea, right? Because, So, do we want to talk about Infested then? How about that?
Yeah, should we do that?
Yeah, how's about that for a thought?
Yeah, shall I do that?
Go on then.
That was quite a fun film about a sort of... it starts off with a bunch of what does it start off with? A bunch of people in a desert. Where are they from? What desert are they in? I can't remember. Anyway, who are digging up this spider, and then this it's sort of a deadly, it's a lot's made out of it. A super deadly spider that comes out of the hole and bites one of them on the neck, and he writhes around in huge pain, choking to death, while the others capture all the other spiders that are flying out of this hole. And then those spiders end up in France, or one of them does, in a little corner shop or a little sort of convenience store, and it's there's a guy called what's his name again? Caleb, who is going to buy a necklace or some jewelry, and he asks if there's anything else in the back, I think, and he finds his spider, and he's a collector of rare reptiles and things like that. So he buys the spider and takes it home, and then proceeds to be a little bit sort of laissez-faire with this spider, putting it in a shoebox and things like that. And and that's when all hell breaks loose, and the spider multiplies like crazy.
I could have sworn I wrote down where the spider was from, but I'm not finding it. in my.
It says
notes.
on Wikipedia, a Middle Eastern desert. That's not very.
I thought it might have been North Africa as well. But the interesting thing is that the film, even though it's set in Paris, was actually shot mostly in Morocco, apparently.
Well, not the which bits? Because not the estate bit. That's in Paris.
No, the estate bit. Well, so this is the interesting thing, right? This is what I wanted to talk about. So the estate.
Oh, yes, we should mention that. It's all filmed. It all happens on a council estate. That's a famous sort of Parisian council estate.
It's kind of like which is so it's interesting. When I was watching this film, the thing that struck me the most was, wow, what an amazing piece of architecture, right? Because it has that big, like that kind of circular thing at its piece, right? And then I looked it up, and apparently this is a famous location. It's called Espace de Abraxas, which is in Paris, right?
I think it's pronounced, or at least one of the buildings is called the Picasso, like Arène de Picasso. So it's like
right. But anyway. This is the estate, which is he was in some Hunger Games film, and it's also in. My writing's terrible. It's in a few films, right? Because it's an interesting piece of architecture. But what's interesting is when I was looking at some YouTube videos about the actual Espace de Abraxas, is yes, it is an interesting piece of architecture because it's got that kind of weird, like as you're entering, it's almost got like an Arc de Triomphe that you walk through, and then there's the main estate. But that big circular thing isn't there.
What do you mean? It is there in the pictures I've looked at. What do you mean?
So you've got like but then the big main kind of circle thing that you're into, the one that, spoiler alert, the one that's blown up at the end. That's not part of the building. I think that's a CGI thing that they've used to modify. So the original thing is a very interesting piece of architecture, but it doesn't. That circular thing is made up.
What I read is there's two of those, and they do exist.
Really?
Or maybe
because I looked up a few videos of that estate, and never once did that circular thing appear.
Oh, okay. Let me have a look. Unless I'm just not doing a thorough enough search, so.
L'Espace de Abraxas. For instance, if you run
if you look
like
up Les Arènes de Picasso, on TripAdvisor, they've got like a whole TripAdvisor thing. And
so what's that called again?
It's called Les Arènes. Is it?
How do you spell that?
So ARENES. ARENES.
De Picasso.
De Picasso, yeah. But
okay. Well, that's interesting. So
maybe it's like
a thing.
Combination of two different things.
Yes, this is in a different place. This is in.
So this is in a suburb of Paris, right?
Yeah, Noisy-le-Grand, right? Okay, that's interesting then. So obviously they've conflated the two.
Yeah, well, I don't know because I don't know what you were looking at.
Yeah, no. So they've mixed up the other place with this place, I guess.
What in the actual film they were referencing it as.
They've combined this.
Okay, maybe they wanted the look of this place, but because this place maybe because it is filmed a lot more, or a lot, maybe it's still like it was a way to upgrade a poor neighborhood and stuff, but maybe the place you're talking about is where the director is from or something, because he wanted to base it on his childhood.
Well, no, it seems as if this place is like, that main building, the circle thing, that's this place in Noisy-le-Grand. But then the surrounding buildings is this other place, the Espace de Braxas in Paris. So they've combined the two, it looks
All
like.
right, okay. Yeah, but I mean...
which is kind of interesting. They've made a pretty interesting looking location.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, we should say that the whole thing is sort of deliberately set in these, in this sort of suburban French environment, which is where, they sort of house the poor, or, in these suburbs.
And the majority of the cast as well. They're not
from there, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So
I was wondering as well, the film is Infested and Vermine, right, in the original French, and I was wondering about that if I was reading too much into it, but then reading around it, and apparently, yes, the directors definitely were trying to make a little connection there about, like, an unwanted, how society looks down at an unwanted foreign infestation, right? That's not like a coincidence. Right?
No, it's very deliberate. Yeah, and I did all that afterwards, and I thought that was in the film, but it's when you read about it, it's more obvious that it's sort of it's good to know that it's deliberately there, and or that they're playing with it a bit more.
Yeah, because you don't know, there's a potential that you might be just projecting that yourself.
Exactly.
Right? To have it confirmed. We should the director writer is Sebastian Vanitschek, right? First feature, I think. And like I said, I think most of it actually, though, apart from those exterior shots, obviously they combine the two things very effectively. It's very convincing. You would never. I genuinely thought, oh, this is one place into itself, right? But I think most of it, in terms of like the interiors and stuff and everything, I think it was actually shot in Morocco rather than France. Okay. Yeah, and it's a French, US, German co-production.
Or maybe it just costs a fortune to like actually film in the thing. But
I think so. I think so. I think Morocco probably is a little bit cheaper to build some sets, and because once you're in the building, you could be anywhere. Right?
No. The other interesting thing was real spiders. I didn't realise that until after the film. I mean, I could tell that a lot of the spiders were real, but I definitely like the fact that they filmed. I don't know how much CG there is, but there didn't seem to be very much, and it was all kind of just more blown up and superimposed.
Yeah, because the spiders, as well as kind of somehow flourishing in this environment, they also slowly get bigger, right? Until you're eventually there's one like quite sort of, it's not massive, but there's one like quite like it's like a big dog sized spider or something.
Yeah, and I mean, at that point, I wasn't scared. I mean, I was pretty jumpy in the first sort of half an hour, 45 minutes.
Do you have, just for context, do you have a thing for spiders? Do you not like spiders?
I'm all right with spiders, but I can't help sort of, recoiling from them. But I'm worse with wasps.
Oh yeah.
But I've got a downstairs toilet where I've kind of got this. We never really use it. It's got this ecosystem. Yeah, I use it. It's more like a shed. And I was gonna like clean it, but it had this spider moth ecosystem develop. And there was a spider in a web, and I put the chopstick by the web, and it leapt out and bit the chopstick, and the chopstick recoiled in my hand. It was quite powerful, so I was like, "Oh, that's a big spider," and their webs have been filled with moths, and then I don't know, these moths feed on they're not clothes moths, they feed on like whatever, like possibly I've got some. They might have fed on the old iron scrubber I've got in there. I don't know what they feed on anyway, but I'm sure there's enough mess in there for them to feed. But then the whole system seems to have just broken down and they're all dead now. So I'll probably go in there and clear up. But that fed into my thing, mainly because I mean people don't think of moths, but you know, I went for a night wee in that toilet, and I came back with a moth on my back, and yeah, never been the same since.
Really interesting.
Yeah, a little insight into the cleanliness of my downstairs toilet.
No, I knew this.
Which is not, but you know, I didn't want to hoover it all up while those. So I like spiders, is what I'm saying, because I don't want to get rid of them because you know I like them.
So did you like this film?
Yeah, I did actually. I liked it.
Okay.
Well, it was
more than I did then.
Yeah, I think it was it was very simple, you know. But the characterizations of all the different characters and the kind of the community element within the estate where everyone's looking out for each other, that was good.
Yeah, it's a very tight-knit kind of community, isn't it? And there's a lot, but they're all outsiders, and they're, you know, some of them are like working in the black economy, or they're thieves or something like that, right? And
yeah, but they were all
decent.
They were all like every character you peered into, even no matter how briefly, seemed full.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I didn't have a problem. I didn't have a problem with the drama of it. I thought that was actually perfectly fine. And the characters were interesting and different from usual. And even our leads and everything, they're not like, you know, they're not like fearless and heroic. They're kind of, you know, they sometimes act like a dick or a, you know. And I think my problem with the film a little bit was, so I'd heard about this film being really quite good, and I was quite, because I love an insect horror, right? And most of them are kind of rubbish with like CGI and stuff, and so I was quite primed to enjoy this. But I think my problem with it a little bit was, number one, I'd never felt any peril from the spiders somehow. Like, I don't know, it always seemed to me like it would be quite easy to just run down that hall and swat them out the way. Like, I never felt like,
well,
I never felt that terror. I
think I disagree. I think in the beginning it did. As they started to get a proper infestation and more and bigger.
Yeah.
The bigger they got, the less scary
right?
they got, you know.
Like, there's all these convoluted things they have for not leaving. Oh, I can't leave without this, and we can't go to the cops because one of the characters is a cop, right?
Right.
And they're like, oh, we can't go to the cops.
Yeah, but she's a
municipal cop or whatever, right?
Cop, yeah, that's it.
But then, like, it seems like with it, suddenly the building's just fucking covered in webs.
Yeah.
And I would understand if they were massive spiders or whatever, but then they just, and suddenly the whole thing's, so I was just like, I don't know, it didn't really work for me in that way. And then the other thing I didn't like about it was it got really serious. Like, I don't mind a film like this being really serious, but it was so serious without any comedy or anything, which didn't match the situation for me, especially towards the end where they're like cower, and then there's all the I do care about my mother, don't say I don't care about my, and all, and it went so like super serious, and I was like, this is a fucking giant spider film. You don't need to go that deep.
I thought that had a comedy element. See, I took that in a more comedic way. I felt like it was slightly like, but I could be completely wrong.
Did you think it was like satiric?
I thought it was not just playing on those tropes, you know, because it's ridiculous, obviously, to like, because they were talking, because like one of the good jokes in there, or the good bits of sort of observation and humor, was when they were towards that bit when they were all starting to say to each other, they, you know, I'm sorry, and they're in massive jeopardy where you'd never do that. It was the dispute between Caleb and his childhood friend when they'd wanted to make a and it
reptiliary
together, and but he was saying why they fell out, and it was like it was quite realistic in a way, because it's like, oh well, I never visited in hospital, but then he didn't really talk to me when my mum died, and then we were just kind of like, oh, I don't know, and then so they kind of never really got it together to get their friendship back, but the whole thing was a bit kind of, he'd already spoiler, but he'd already died, and it kind of had it was a moot point by now, and it seemed a bit sort of childish, and I think it was sort of playing on that, like all that sort of stuff where they were saying sorry for things they didn't really need to say sorry for, because they so in my mind it was like exploring that kind of working class community where you get a lot of fractious kind of conflicts that sort of due to circumstances often never go anywhere, or never often don't get resolved for one reason or the other, and like environmental pressures sometimes, and but they're often really kind of like EastEnders, so you didn't I mean, the estate I grew up in was full of like petty grievances that escalated beyond anything that anything that were just, there was no conflict there in the first place, and there became I felt like it was a reference to that. It was like a knowing reference to these environments that are difficult, create conflict out of nothing, and it explodes out of nothing, and I think it was that.
I don't think it's appropriate. I mean, you say that, but I suppose they might have been, for me at least. Like another example is like at the end of the film where they eventually escape, and then they dissolve to like, there's like a monument to all the people who were lost.
Yeah.
You have all the victims. Like I'm thinking, that's for me at least. Like if you're making a fun giant spider or insect film, you don't have a coda at the end like for the fallen. Like it's just like that's like too much. Like that's too serious. This is
I just felt like that was a reference to Grenfell, don't you think? But then
well, maybe so, but it shouldn't be in this film. I don't want a reference to Grenfell in a giant spider.
Well, the thing is, he's taking it more.
It doesn't feel earned, because that's a genuine fucking tragedy, and this is a giant spider film, right? So it's like
well, this is the thing. But I have it like when I read up about it afterwards. Although he didn't mention Grenfell afterwards, but
it's an interesting observation, though, that it is a bit of a post-Grenfell kind of film.
Well, yeah, it's got the whole kind of trap them in the building.
Yes.
I don't know if anything like Grenfell happened in France, like, but it was. I didn't realise.
Watching that recent Netflix documentary about Grenfell, apparently, a lot of quite similar fires did actually happen in lots of different parts around the world, right? Until Grenfell kind of highlighted it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, so I didn't realise watching the film, other than sort of little clues, that it was more political. You could see the politics in it, but that it was more of a metaphor.
Particularly heavy-handed when the cops turned up, right?
Yeah.
I think. And they're suddenly...
like pulling on the door.
And they don't say it, but basically the dialogue is, oh, we are survivors. And the cops are like, who are you? You're brown. I'm going to shout. It felt more... So, for instance, we talked about the Candyman remake, right? Which had a little bit of allusions to police brutality and racism at the end of it. And I thought... I remember I enjoyed that film a bit more than you did, but I thought the Candyman remake actually did it quite well. This felt more heavy-handed than the Candyman remake.
Yeah, well, especially when you see afterwards that it's, well, as I know, I saw afterwards it was much more of an attempt to make a metaphor and a commentary in that way than it first seemed, because it does seem like, because I guess you run into these problems like with arachnophobia, which is an obvious comparison to make, but any of those films, Sharks Under Paris that we watched, where you've got some sort of fear of a particular creature, right, and then you've got a point in any of those films where you've done the initial kind of setup and you've creeped everyone out, but you can't keep doing that, so you have to escalate it and stuff. So it seems like the director of this used the allegory or the as a way to escalate that, as opposed to
I totally understand what you're saying, and I respect that. And there's a whole history of B movies that have used these kind of monster movie tropes and then smuggled in socio-political commentary. But usually, the people who are really good at it, there's no jarring. For this, I was just watching, and it just felt so heavy-handed, and so it didn't. Again, I didn't think it was awful, but it was just it didn't work for me as a. First and foremost, it should be a scary spiders take over the building film, and then the other stuff is like gravy or like extra bonus stuff. But for me, because the main thing didn't really work. Again, it wasn't awful. It was very well done, actually, in terms of just how, the look of it and the way it was put together and stuff. All that is flawless, but it's not a good creature feature. Let's put it that way.
I just think those are they're difficult to do, especially now. So I agree. Like, I would have, like shutting them in was just too convenient, wasn't it? It's like, the idea that you'd be trying to get out and the police would be like holding you in. No, because I don't really know Darwin or something. And that was a good joke in it of like they're going, they get bigger because of Darwin, because they just leave it there, because it was to do with Darwin, because they get scared and then they double in size and then they get scared again and double in size. Darwin. Right. So I mean, in terms of like scares, I was sort of, I did find the initial small spiders creepy and scary in those moments, and I would have preferred it to kind of carry on somehow in that direction, but I can't creatively myself think of a way to maybe take it other than the fact that I really liked the community aspects of it and the sort of conflicts that were potentially there, like the trainers thing. I enjoyed that. And then the fact that the whole thing started because it was in his trainer. He was trying to give some, sell some trainers to this guy. That could have escalated in that direction, and it could have maybe been a bit more kind of.
I can imagine Sebastian Vanecek like with a better script, making a really good film.
Go on then.
Yeah. Dead Talent Society. This was a Taiwanese film from 2024. And this was a little bit of I'd be, again, very interested to see how this played with you. This was a bit of a surprise for me, because this is one of those films where I'm very, very aware watching it that I am not in the target demographic of this film, right? This film is not aimed at me at all, right? This seems like a very kind of teen appeal kind of horror comedy, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
It's not aimed at me in the slightest. And even though I did have problem, so the setup is, which is quite an interesting kind of setup. So, and also, I don't know how you felt about this, but watching it, it took me like 10, 15 minutes to acclimatize to exactly what the fuck was going on. Because I didn't actually know what the setup of the film. I didn't look it up in advance, right? I just heard that it was quite interesting.
I looked up enough, but not really anything really. No, I was kind of lost actually. I remember saying, because we watched it as a whole family, three teenagers and 2 adults. So we're all on the sofa watching it. So there you go. It's a teen film.
Well, this is a question then, before we get into it. I'm just kind of curious before we get... Did the teenagers in the room enjoy it?
Yeah, they loved it.
They did?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so, so I suppose the basics, basically, I mean, you can't go into too much detail because if you start thinking too carefully about it, there's a lot of the kind of rules of the cinematic universe kind of don't make sense at a certain point. Like, when can humans see ghosts so they can't, because they can't, and then they suddenly can? And
well, I think it's like an urge thing. I'd say it's an urge thing. I think it made perfect sense. It was urge thing. It was an urge thing. I was starting to, I agree with you that like takes a little while to kind of, get it, so get immersed in it.
Right.
But I'd say that the ghost can appear like by way of urginess.
I suppose when they want to, and it takes a little bit extra.
You've got to have that urge. You've got to have that sort of physical instinct. I like that. There was a lot of things I liked about it. Anyway, we should do the plot.
But the setup is basically, so we're in the world of the dead, and we're in the world of the ghosts, and so we're introduced like a kind of Entertainment Tonight kind of celebrity gossip show or whatever, and some. The latest viral person is on talking about their recent viral video, and then slowly it dawns on you as the viewer, like, okay, this is from the position of the ghost. So if you imagine now, we'd see like a YouTube video of like the most haunted hotel or something, rather than seeing it from the point of view of live humans, we're seeing it from the other side of the ghosts putting on a show to frighten humans, right?
Yeah, it's like...
The more frightening they are, nice little black comedy touches. It seems as if humans actually kind of go nuts or die, then that's really good for the ghost community, right? They get more views or something, right?
Well, the more views they get, but the less, the less they disintegrate, isn't it, really?
Yeah, well, so that's the other thing as well, is in this ghostly realm, you have to be a bit like in the affecting Back to the Future, where maybe Marty McFly's parents don't meet. He starts to disappear, right? So our main character starts to played by Jingle Wang, who we saw in she was in. And I wrote it down this time so I get the right title. The Pig, the Snake, and the Pigeon. She was in that, right? And she plays kind of like a nebbishy nerd kind of character who died in a car crash, I think, right? And
I wasn't clear on that, but I think so. Yeah.
And she's hanging out with her friend Bye Bye, and they're not haunting anyone, right? They don't have a haunting license. You need to get a haunting license, and the danger is if your family or loved ones forget who you are, you kind of disintegrate, you disappear.
Yeah.
And her family seems to suddenly have started kind of forgetting about her and giving up her. So she has to, in order not to disappear, she has to become one of these celebrity haunters, right? And another older ghost played by Sandrine Piena takes her under her wing because she's kind of a fading... Because there's another young upstart played by Yi Tao, right, as Jessica. She's like the new hip ghost on the scene doing like
viral
internet
ghost videos
and stuff. So it's basically her trying to stay relevant and they put on these elaborate kind of set pieces. And then the flip side, of course, is all these YouTube influencers who go to like the most haunted house in Taipei or something like that. And so it's not designed for old men like me and Robin.
Well, I disagree. I really enjoyed it, so I think it was.
I agree. I did as well. But
it's not got us in mind. It's not got that.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I think it works.
Whatever we are, B, C, D category in mind or whatever.
But I agree with you. I really enjoyed it. I'm pleased you did. But that was the thing I was trying to say was. I think if you're in the right category for it, you might enjoy it a whole lot even more. But we are both decrepit and totally irrelevant. However, we both enjoyed it.
I think I can even do a few of the moves the ghosts can do now.
Wow.
Yeah. Can break a few bones at least really quite easily.
But I'm glad you had the same feeling as me. It's kind of fun, isn't it?
It's really good fun,
likable.
Yeah, it was a great find and well done. It was really enjoyable. And I think the way that, at first I didn't think the humour was going to... I thought the humour was going to be too sort of silly, quirky elements.
Yeah, me too. First 10 minutes. Right?
Yeah, and I thought, the dialogue at the beginning was like, oh, this is going to be like this all the way through.
Same.
And then as the... as Jingle Wang, is it Jingle Wang anyway? As Jingle that character Wang. Comes in, she starts to really set the tone of the film.
Yes, you realise it's supposed to be a satire of that type of thing, right? It's not... At first, you're not sure. You're like, oh, am I just supposed to take this at face value? But then you're like, oh, okay, no, it is kind of...
Yeah, I think I don't know, you probably haven't seen it, but I really liked on Netflix, there's a series called Girls 5 Ever, which is about a 90s pop band of, girl band, like, Spice Girls type band. But they're all old now. And it's Tina Fey is part of this, she partly wrote it, whatever. That's got a similar kind of... approach to it where it satirizes the whole medium and the whole kind of everything that goes into producing a girl band, and this in a similar way had that kind of aspect of just a lot of the humor was to do with what goes on behind the scenes to make this scaring happen, and that humour was really funny, really good and enjoyable. Yeah.
And also for me as well, it wasn't when it stopped being, because towards the end it gets slightly more sentimental, I would say. But when it stops kind of being funny, I just had really goodwill towards it. Like it's likable. Do you know what I mean? More than anything else. I can't say, I wouldn't say to someone, you got to see Dead Talent Society. It's fucking hilarious. I wouldn't say that. But it's just, it's likable. Like, it's really likable.
Yeah. All the characters are you warm to them eventually. It was great. Trying to think of the... I mean, I thought the influencers were really, really good, sort of foible. I mean, I think that's, starting to be done quite a bit. Influencers sort of poking fun at influencers or...
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, if I was more plugged into what's cool, there's a good chance that this might have been, not... Certainly, I'm certainly not saying this is like the cutting edge of... satire of modern, because I'm an old man and I wouldn't recognize it if I saw it. But it's fun. And it's interesting you said you did see it with genuine teenagers and they did enjoy it as well, right? It wasn't just a couple of old men thinking that, yes, I understand teenagers, I found this amusing. That's actual real teenagers.
Yeah, they really enjoyed it. And they hadn't, one of them was aware of it before. So it's obviously on some teenager's radar, and that is as far as my sort of knowledge about what teenagers are into goes. So, indeed. Next, we're talking about Working Class Goes to Hell, right?
Yes, I'm going to hazard an attempt at the Serbian pronunciation.
Oh, yeah?
Radnika klasa ide u pakao.
Are you getting that from IMDb, are you? I haven't looked at it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that might be the original title, but totally butchered.
No, I think it's spot on.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, it's okay.
Predominantly, because you are, of course, the authority here.
I think so.
Yeah? Predominantly Serbian film, but technically, get this, Serbian, Bulgarian, Greek,
Croatian.
Croatian, Romanian co-production.
Yeah, like they all vote together on the Eurovision.
Yes, I believe so. That's why My Lovely Horse by Father Ted and Father Doug won in 1996 or whatever.
That was the last time. Yeah. Oh, how do we go about doing the?
Well, let me give a little bit of background then you might not be aware of, and I didn't clue you into this because I suspected it's got fuck all to do with the film, and it's quite right. It's just a little ref. So there's a very interesting film from the 70s called The Working Class Goes to Heaven.
Oh yeah, I saw a reference to that.
Yeah, and it's one of those films, Gina Maria Valente is in it, and I think it's Elio Petri directed it, and it's one of those, like, kind of seminal 70s satirical Days of Lead Italian film. It's a great film. But I remember, I only saw it for the first time quite recently, when I was researching it to write my review, I realised, it comes up on you'd write in Working Class Goes to Heaven, and there's other Working Class Goes to Hell, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then I looked it up, and the director is, here we go again, Mladen Djortovic.
Yes.
Thanks for the backup there.
It's okay.
Serbian Robin.
Yeah, it's okay.
And he had made this other film in 2008 called The Life and Death of a Porno Gang, which is it's kind of interesting.
Have you seen it?
That well,
Have you seen it or not?
Yeah, it's not great. It's kind of interesting. The reason what's most interesting about it is, do you remember that film that came out that was like a big controversial film? Do you remember that film, a Serbian film?
No.
Okay, so that came out about the same time, 2008, and it was like a big cult kind of film, and it was kind of, so if you remember, there was that Hollywood Eli Roth film Hostel, right, about American backpackers going, backpacking through the Balkans, and they end up in like a snuff film or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, like for Americans especially, that the image of that part of like Middle Europe was, it's pretty dodgy, you might end up in a snuff film or something like that, right? And a Serbian film was like a satire of that, but it became really controversial because it went full on, and it had like towards the end there's a scene of like someone like fucking a baby, basically, and it was like a lot of edgelord kind of stuff, right? But at the same time, this other film, The Life and Death of a Porno Gang, which didn't get as much attention, but it was similarly kind of pushing the envelope and with inclusion of hardcore pornography and gore and stuff like that. So so when I heard that there was a film that was alluding to this kind of great film from the 70s, Working Class Goes to Heaven, and it was by the guy who made Life and Death of a Porno Gang, I was like, I kind of want to see this. This sounds kind of interesting, because I've never heard of it. I've never heard anyone refer to it. Like, there's a new film called Working Class. Like, I've not heard anyone mention it.
No.
So it kind of seems to have sneaked out almost. And then I managed to get a copy. And then when we were thinking about doing this, of course, as you know, Robin, what I think, yes, we're going to do the brand new films. I'm going to choose a film from 2 years ago, as I always do. And this was perfect. It was exactly 2 years ago. It was actually a year ago, I think. No, it is 2023. So that's why I chose it. I had no idea what to expect. And it has nothing to do with Working Class Goes to Heaven. So certainly don't feel as if you haven't missed out. You haven't missed out on any reference or anything like that. Or, you know, it's its own piece entirely, nothing to do with that film.
Well, what is Life and Death of a Porno Gang about then? Or...
Life and Death of a Porno Gang.
So it might help to make sense of this, maybe, or not.
Well, hang on. I suppose best thing to do here is to actually bring up my, because I don't remember. As I get older, I don't. I see things, I write reviews, and then I don't remember it the next week. So here we go. Let me just find it. Life and Death of the Porno Gang, 2008. Yeah, same director, Mladen Djordjevic. Shall I just read this?
Go on then.
All right. Apologies for pronunciations of people's names. Mihailo Z. Jovanovic is a pretentious young Belgrade filmmaker making a documentary about his attempts at starting a career, brackets, a framing device that is half forgotten by the end, close brackets, when he finds himself working for a maker of low-budget, no-nonsense porn, stealing some cash and actors from Miletic. The ambitious young man decides to open a live porno playhouse cabaret, but is soon shut down by his previous employer's corrupt policeman brother. Wanting to get out of Dodge and feeling increasingly radicalized, Jovanovic and his crew of misfits decide to hit the road in a minivan, performing live shows on makeshift stages across the Serbian countryside, angering locals who turn out to be much more horrible. Eventually, they are approached by a German fan and war atrocity footage veteran who offers them big money to make snuff films with volunteers in need of money for their families as the stars. There's also the escalation to putting on live snuff shows.
Okay. Right, yeah. Okay.
So in a way, this film, Working Class Goes to Hell, is actually kind of a bit like, I felt anyway, having watched, difficult for you to judge because you haven't seen it, but just going by the plot synopsis, this film feels a little bit like, even though some of it is kind of a bit edgy, it feels a lot less like deliberately just, it's not just being edgy for the sake of it. It feels like a slightly more mature film, right? Like it's, I thought, compared to that. Obviously you can't compare, but...
No, yeah, but I mean, I liked it. Are we going to do the plot? Are we haven't done the plot, right?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. So, so it's like an economically deprived small Serbian community, right? And I suppose our main character is, again, we're going to fuck up names left, right, and centre here.
Well, I haven't got the list of cast in front of me, so I can't do anything.
It's okay. It's Tamara
accidentally...
Kronovic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Robin. Well, you know. So
I'll keep
playing.
I'll hold your hand through this.
Yes. Cheers, man. Yeah. I appreciate it. You got my back.
Okay.
Plays this kind of single parent. Well, no, she's not. So she has a. It's not her daughter, right? It's like her niece or something, right?
I thought it was her sister. No.
Oh, it could be. Lidija Kordic. And yeah, so it's basically it's this economically deprived town, and there's not much work, and there's a lot of the. We'll get to this when we get to the end, because it'll be interesting to see what we think of, if there is a message or not in this film, or if it's semi-satirical or not. But she hangs out at this old abandoned hotel from the Soviet era, right? Which seems to be like
sort of a workers' hotel sort of thing.
Yeah, workers' hotel, right?
Class
and there's
struggle
like
hotel
fresco
sort of thing.
on the wall, and it's all very workers unite and stuff like that. But in the current environment, things are pretty bleak in this town. Enter Leon Luchev, and he's like he's been released from prison, right? It seems.
Oh.
I think he mentions he was released from prison.
Oh, I didn't pay attention.
Yeah, and Kronovich kind of falls for him, and he moves in with her. And he's got the book he's actually got. I looked this up because I managed to kind of just imagine looking upside down and freeze framing. He's got this kind of book. It's the Grimorium Verum, right, which is a 18th century grimoire, like a book of spells. Which might have been written back in the 16th century. Right? It doesn't really matter. The specifics don't matter. But basically, he has this book of spells and somehow convinces this tight-knit community to start...
Well, summoning the dead first. He sort of gateways them into summoning the dead, because a lot of... It needs to be said that part of the reason they're deprived is that they would all have worked in this factory or whatever it was.
Yes, and there was a fire. Yeah, you're quite right. Sorry, I missed it. There was a big factory fire, wasn't there? Yeah.
Yeah. So they're it starts off with them protesting about the turning of this factory into a garbage incinerator plant, I guess.
Yes. And there's a few bigwig kind of politicians involved in this. Yeah, and at the same time, all these outsiders are kind of descending on the town as a kind of like either investing in this kind of thing that isn't going to bring jobs to the local community, or just using it as their playground, right? Like later on, there's a whole thing about like these human tables, like naked women being used as human, like they do in Japan, the sushi table thing, right? But they have to be kept in a freezer, so they're really cold.
Oh, do they use that in Japan with humans?
Yeah, that used to be a thing, the human sushi table thing.
Oh, okay. The only reference I thought was Clockwork Orange, which I still haven't been seen. There you go. That's There we go on.
Yeah, so basically it's a community under siege. And this character seems to offer. I mean, they're skeptical at first, and people slowly start coming. And then the people they target seem to actually end up dead, right? And there's a like an old man or something who turns up who seems to be killing people for them, right? It's a little bit sure.
Well, only one person.
Yes, only one person. But that's the thing. That's the clever thing about the film, in a way, isn't it? Is how it realistically. There's just enough evidence for people to think they've done it, right? Like, oh, we've summoned this guy, right? I thought that was what was quite clever about the film, was it never overdealt its hand. Like, these people are convinced, and the coincidence is enough that they believe that they've summoned it, right?
Well,
there's no evidence that they have at all, right?
Well, the way they become convinced first, or the way the guy who comes into from this sort of cult that he says is not a cult, it's a therapy group. Right, he comes from, and the way, so he came from he was a resident of the town, went away, came back after 10 years or something, to Bulgaria, is it? Anyway, and
Belgrade.
Belgrade, okay, and comes back with, the ability to read tarot cards and do seances, and so they want to raise their missing family members.
But the thing is, there's allusions that he's been away to prison, and he's got, and that's a very Charles Manson-y kind of thing, right? Because that's Charles Manson's thing, is he came out of prison and suddenly had all these tricks that amazed all the stoned hippies, right?
Yeah, like, I mean, well, he comes back all slick and is wearing a polo neck, and that's obviously a red flag anyway.
He grew a beard as well in the film.
Yeah, he grew a beard, didn't he? He didn't come straight back with a beard. Anyway, but yeah, the way they become convinced is that they do the seance and then they break it off because they're like, because they get freaked out because
someone heard a noise.
Someone heard a noise. The candle blew out.
Right? Which is all you need. It's all you need. I've been in situations like that. Just take one person. And one person becomes convinced. I do love that. Like in real life, I really love the kind of seance thing. I fall for it every time. Yeah. There's elements of this film that it's not as powerful or not as. Did you ever see that Australian movie Snowtown?
No.
About the Snowtown murders in Adelaide. It's based on a true story where people ended up in these barrels full of chemicals. They tried to get rid of the bodies by melting them. And, but that's one of the most scarily realistic films I've ever seen, just in terms of like the mob. Like the scenes in that film, it reminded me, even though it's set in Australia and Adelaide, it reminded me of like some places in Wales, right? Just that kind of small, where it only takes one person to
G up a whole
get everyone
and
talking about the fucking pedos. And it was just like, Snowtown is, you should see it, you'd love Snowtown. It's I found it almost terrifyingly realistic, but parts of the film reminded me a little bit of that in that way, like how easy it is to kind of.
This is what Britain's like at the moment all the time, isn't it? There's mobs just appearing constantly. But
reform goes to hell.
Yeah, but the way they become convinced that it's sort of. That there must be something in it is there's a sort of stain on the window that looks a bit like a baby.
Right. Yeah.
And she wanted a baby, so and then what was it?
And someone else sees fucking something in a piece of toast or there's all these
sees something in a piece of toast. And so
but again,
deliberately
it's done really well. It's not cartoonish. Like it's funny, it's darkly comic, but it's kind of quite realistic and believable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of, it never strays too far into realism, and also never strays too far into, sort of comic satire or something. Just sort of, because, like certain scenes with sort of, they're having sex and they're eating, they've got he says, let's go and celebrate the fact that we got that.
Flesh or something?
I think it's supposed to be like lamb's liver. But it's jelly, and it's very obviously jelly. To the extent that you could kind of say to yourself, actually, like within that reality, he's actually genuinely just made some jelly, like dark jelly, but he's already got such a hold over them, or that the woman, I've forgotten her name, that she'll go along with whatever, she's being so well manipulated that she would go, it tastes a bit like jelly, but think it's lamb's liver.
No, and at that point as well, that's when he's kind of started to convince her to pimp herself before he pimps her out, right?
Yeah.
He puts the seeds. It's quite interesting in that way, because it's certainly a film which is, until we get to the end maybe, it's certainly a film like there's no, even though in a way there are the good, and there are these really horrible kind of, the gangster kind of capitalist characters are quite horrid, but there's nothing noble about the kind of the regular people in the village.
No, they're not. It's not like they're not like the devil comes into a Ken Loach community or whatever.
No, like they're pretty much the definition of willing victims, right? Like
Well, this is so he did there's an interview I read where he was talking about that, how he kind of
is this the director?
Yeah, the director was talking about how it's about the kind of, because Serbian society being, did he put it like as being raped and then raping itself sort of thing, or like as in just being ravaged, and then how everybody getting caught in a cycle of
that's the thing, that's the thing. I noticed that there's a few bits in this which are very, because it's a film actually you have to pay attention to, because there's a lot of little minor stuff. There's some stuff even like taking part in the background that you don't think is important but actually kind of adds up. And like one of the characters, for instance, he's angry because his son has married this Muslim woman about in the community, and he talks about like the war, right? He's talking about the Serbo-Croat conflict, and there's that. And then, of course, there's a very, like, towards the end of the film, there's that quite hilarious bit where, so they do have the revenge against these, we won't get into spoilers, and there's a bit where they put, like, a sickle in the hand, right? And then there happens to be a hammer in the foreground, and there's the hammer and sickle thing. And then the whole ending as well, when they kind of seemingly march on, City Hall or whatever. It's a very ambiguous ending, because on the one hand, you could very easily watch it and kind of feel empowered or something and feel like, yes, but then at the same time, you're like, oh, hang on, haven't we been here before? And also all the people who have like apparently inspired this, they're all liars, right? Like the guy who got out of prison, like it's based on nothing. So it's like, it's a very fascinating thing that like it kind of is an allegory. They've gone from the Soviet system, then they've gone into this they've suddenly become there, but then that gets ravaged by war, and then they're like, oh, this is no, so shall we just as a response we'll go back, I was always better in the old days. And you do get people like that, right? People who grew up during the Soviet era, they find the modern era massively confusing, and they're like, well, at least you knew where you were when Stalin killed you, like, so I found it a really kind of really fascinating. I don't know if I could say I got like a definite final message out at the end of it, and I don't even know if you're supposed to, but it's definitely a film that makes you think, and I found really entertaining and also quite funny sometimes. And I liked working, and the more I talk about it, actually, the more I realize, and there's like nice little bits of it, like it doesn't, because we're talking about it, it sounds like a big, like profound message film, but it doesn't forget to be a horror film, actually, and also entertaining. There's like great little bits, like I like the bit where there's one bit where they've decided to, they okay, we'll do this, and they have to take all their clothes off as well, right? Because that guy just says, oh, you have to take your clothes off, and then they have to slaughter a chicken with the chicken running around after the chicken. That's quite funny.
Well, that's because they've at that point they've found the guy who's they feel like they've summoned the devil sort of guy.
Yes. Yeah.
And so they get him in, and I can't remember why. That's sort of convoluted. But I guess the last bit of them all marching down is a hark back to the where it starts with the mural on the wall is a whole bunch of workers.
And what I like about it is it's ambiguous, because on the one hand you can easily say, oh, it's satire, they're all back at the same place, they've learned nothing. But at the same time, it does have that power, and you're thinking, well, it was interesting. I was listening to a podcast recently, and the thing with failed, socialist or communist states, right, around the world is people are very easy to point out, like, well, it's clearly never going to work. It's clearly never going to work. But you're thinking, well, how many times did capitalist society need until it worked, right? Like,
well, I mean, it doesn't work everywhere, does it? As well.
No, exactly. So that, in a way, I don't see that ending as just simply, ha, 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 look at these stupid people going back to atavistic. It's a mixture. It's like, on the one hand, well, this might work again, or it might not. So it's, it's kind of a call to arms, but it's also like, also kind of a reminder that, well, this might not work again, but why not? Try it.
I'll tell you what he said in there in a minute. But the reason why we were looking it up was because we weren't sure if it was about the Serbian War and what the references are about.
Something that was going over your head.
Yeah, I mean, despite my long Serbian heritage, it doesn't.
That's why
really
your pronunciation is so invaluable.
Yeah, yeah. So we weren't clear on that, and but the article he said that he said like he didn't want to depict he wanted to depict the cycle of violence and harassment and this unstoppable mechanism in which the victim becomes the victimizer. And as you can see that through the film, he said, I don't believe in revolutions in society in an external way. The revolutions happen inside people. What we call revolutions are a trick, like a reality show. The existing centers of power remain in their ruling position by masquerading as another center of power. And this is what I'm fighting against in all my films. So he's fighting against, creating a movement that creates another ruler, as opposed to people collectivizing together.
So there we go. I mean, that's kind of more or less what I kind of got from it in a way. But there's no denying the power in a way of that final. And I think that might be the point of it, is because it shows how that sudden, throughout the film, that sudden collective kind of desire to do something, it's beguiling, right? It takes over your senses, right?
Yeah.
And
well, I liked the bit about in the beginning where the Mia, the guy is called, isn't he? The guy who comes, the Satanist guy, basically, is called him. Convinces the main character that she should. Because everyone's kind of given up on fighting against the system through sort of legal means and protest and stuff. Because there's a court case against the people who essentially, because it's a suspected arson attack that killed the people in order to sort of shut down the factory.
They're in the middle of a long-term kind of trying to put together some kind of legal rebuttal and. Or already others have decided, shall we just give up and take a payoff?
Yeah,
right?
so they've decided, and that's sort of while they're watching, is sort of significant that they're watching. Is it Jerry Springer or a Jerry Springer-like program?
I think it's a local.
I couldn't tell, but just people tearing each other apart on TV, and they're kind of.
I don't think it was
watching sort of mesmerized, like a sort of.
Yeah, we should have mentioned that, because I don't. I mean, it might have been staged for the film, but that to me looked like genuine footage of.
Yeah. Well, I think I saw a review that said it was genuinely Jerry Springer, but regardless, it was like, that's all that's on TV. The whole thing, I couldn't tell. I was waiting for a mobile phone and then finally saw something, a gravestone that said 2016. I was like, all right, it is, because everything is so out of date, the cars and everything. Didn't see a mobile phone for a bit.
That. You're right. No one does pick up a cell phone.
There is a cell phone in one point of it, but yeah, it's like not. It seems like it was based in. So it seems like the country itself from that film hasn't moved on since sort of 1990s.
Right. It did feel very 90s. You're quite right. The whole thing did feel.
Yeah. So the kind of the temptation that is provided, like the temptation of the devil sort of thing. What I like is you do see that in kind of in under desperate circumstances. You think nothing else has worked, and then and it's significant that they're. In a lot of the film, they're kind of, or at the beginning anyway, they're kind of, there's a religious aspect linked to the class struggle aspect. And they talk about, well, God's left us, And then he convinces the lead character that, she should just come over to the dark side because nothing else works, and God has abandoned us, the system has abandoned us, and stuff like that. And I see that because you just think, under certain circumstances, well, fuck it, maybe this one will work, and I like that aspect of that.
Yeah, something. I mean, not to get overtly political, but that's very much, in a way, from what I understand, is happening now in the UK in terms of reform is gaining a lot of ground, right? And from what I can tell, a lot of the people who are turning to them, it's not out of any strong desire for their message. It's more, give someone else a go,
Yeah.
The Tories and Labour, we're still not anywhere. Give someone else a go. That's very much the kind of feeling, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
what can they do? How bad can it be?
I guess so. I mean, there's a lot of anti-immigrant messaging within it, but as well, that's a sort of temptation of it.
It's almost aside from that is well, never mind about. I mean, people are very much like, we just give them a try.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking.
It's the same with Citizen, right? If you're gonna take it seriously, there's the whole Satan evil thing, but
yeah,
why not give it a go?
Yeah, well, exactly. But I agree. I guess I was thinking as well of just the kind of day-to-day living aspect as well, just because their demands were really domestic a lot of the time. Like I just want to be able to sort of sell my chinchillas. So they're asking, they're doing devil deals with the devil. I want my husband to stop beating on me. And then, sort of a lot of those, the demands for, the deals with the devil they're doing are really like, you shouldn't be selling your soul to get slight edge on your husband, or, they'd probably ask for more. So yeah, there was that aspect of it, which I guess is similar in the Farage sense, I guess.
Anyway, so it was because initially this was the one film you thought you might not have had time to get to, and I also sensed maybe it was the one you maybe thought might be of least interest. But it sounds as if you quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think what happened was, I don't know if I looked it up briefly and saw some sort of snapshot of the internet of it, because it aired at Toronto Film Festival, right? And so if you look at the splash page of the internet on this film, there's several kind of negative things. One is a Reddit thing, which is why does anyone, because I think it aired at Toronto Film Festival in the, movie, something madness category of the Toronto Film. Okay. So they expected Midnight Madness, They expected a sort of schlocky,
more outrageous, maybe like Life and Death of a Porno Gang, maybe.
Yeah, or just kind of more gore and sort of silliness.
Yeah.
And
it's
so
not that,
people were complaining on the Reddit about, not that I read this before the film, but I read it subsequently. Right. But maybe as a snapshot, I was like, but yeah, people were complaining about falling asleep and stuff, which is funny because actually it is a slow burner, and it does get to the point in a really wonderful way where it gets really outrageous and sort of
it's in there. No, I understand that. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I'm guessing it's because of, by and large, this film won't be on anyone's radar at all. The only reason that it might be on people's radar is because it's the director of Life and Death of a Porno Gang. So therefore they think, we're in for a crazy, off the hook. But it's not that. So it kind of falls between two. It's a shame in a way because it does seem like a director maturing in a way, making a better film, and suffering as a result.
So yeah, what I was saying was the surrealistic ending, and how it kind of takes it to, to a kind of place where where they push themselves to the edge and then they reel themselves back slightly. That was quite nice.
Yeah. No, it's a well-rounded, thought-provoking, very interesting, entertaining film, and I genuinely don't understand why. Not that it's a classic or anything, but I'm genuinely slightly puzzled by the almost total lack of people talking about it at all.
Yeah, I think. What I saw was Rotten Tomatoes, just briefly, again, that snapshot.
Yeah.
And it's just like 5.
They can fuck right off Rotten Tomatoes.
I don't really know anything about Rotten Tomatoes, but I guess it comes
It's just an aggregate, isn't it?
It's an aggregate, right? Yeah. But, like Metacritic, but...
yeah, bollocks is what it is.
Yeah, but...
there's no context for it at all.
No, but it's sort of it got, if it gets sort of 5 out of 10 on Rotten Tomatoes, you wonder, like, does that mean it's just a really terrible film? Or what I mean to say by this is you wouldn't think it had any intellectual merit because it got 5, in other words, it probably landed like chock-a-block on the wrong audience,
Yeah.
At Toronto Film Festival, where they expected a schlock sort of film or something.
But also the opposite can happen as well, is you can go to Rotten Tomatoes and it'll have like a 99% but only 10 people saw it.
Yeah.
The Shrouds. I'm glad, so this was your suggestion, and I'm glad you mentioned it because I'm a big David Cronenberg fan, as I think you are as well. I was very keen to see this, and it was one of those ones I was like, well, I'm going to see it anyway, but I don't know, because we tend to sometimes kind of step away from stuff that's a bit too high profile. So I was thinking, we might not do The Shrouds because it's a David Cronenberg film, it's going to get lots of ink. But then you mentioned it, and I'm quite glad we have done it, because I feel that The Shrouds has actually... It's crept under the radar a little bit, isn't it? It's not necessarily as celebrated as a good new David Cronenberg film should be.
I mean, it is in this country. I've seen some reviews, but it's not playing that widely. Like, it's playing,
right?
But it's I don't know. I think like there's a general sort of slight decline in cinema, anyway.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, David Cronenberg's films, they've increasingly been kind of lower budget,
right?
Kind of almost character pieces for him, So right. I saw the what was I watching? I can't remember. I was in the cinema watching something.
Did you see The Shrouds in the cinema?
I saw the. No, but I saw the. Sorry, I saw the trailer for The Shrouds in the cinema, which I was shocked about because I thought, it's a hard thing to make into a trailer for a start. Like the trailer did not come across as like, it's in amongst all these kind of. It was in amongst blooming, Mission Impossible.
In a world of the dead.
Well, there's a Mission Impossible trailer, and then, Wolverine or something, and then The Shrouds, and it's like, I want to be, and they tried to sort of pump up the,
of course,
mystery and thriller element of it, but if you had sort of never come across David Cronenberg, you'd go, no, that, or I don't know.
Well, it's interesting you say that. As an aside, this just shows how much of an old git I am and what I think about the modern state of cinema or whatever. But I understand to a certain extent. But The Shroud, to me, regardless of what you think about it, The Shrouds, if we were in a healthy kind of cinematic environment, The Shrouds should be like a proper major release film.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Everything about it is technically, like there's nothing embarrassing or let down about it. You can put it up on a big screen, and it's thought provoking and it's different, but it's not like, I didn't think it's not like, oh my, it's what?
Yeah, it doesn't send you into a tailspin of confusion.
Should be able to go to see in a theatre and think about, right?
Well,
in a healthy society.
It will be. I mean, I don't know if you probably haven't heard of this. I'm trying to think what film it is, but there's been a cinema revival starting in Britain, where I think, like, although this could be spin, who knows? But Prince Charles had been, they used to be famous for rerunning the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and they still do that. But they have been One Car Why, huh?
Prince Charles. They tried to close it down, didn't they, the Prince Charles?
Yeah. But One Car Why. What the two famous films? The one that's
Chungking Express.
The other one.
Fallen Angels.
Oh, I can't. One of his films is now on repeat in the Prince Charles, and a young audience would go and see it over and over again. Some of them seeing it like loads of times.
Happy Together, maybe.
Yeah, it could be. It's the comedy one.
Might be Happy Together. Yeah.
Anyway, so there's a renewed interest in auteur filmmaking and kind of stuff. So I think people are going to come around to David Cronenberg eventually. I think film, interesting film is rekindling, because the Marvel thing is dead. Like properly dead now. I feel like people are almost going to see stuff, but it's the jokes have run dry, and the kind of characters are now kind of a bit flat and boring. So I think that people are starting to, and there's nothing else, so there's a big void. And I do think that sort of auteur filmmaking and we might be looking at a kind of a re-establishment of sort of the type of thing we saw in the 90s with, something's going to fill that space is my feeling. But
I hope so. But then again, I don't think it's just, it's more to do with the competing
Netflix and
experience at home, right?
Of course. But I do think like young 20-somethings are looking for.
Maybe I think.
Well, only based on this one thing, but it's
no. I know
it's something. You're going out in droves, like in big groups, to watch these things.
So I was a victim of this maybe 10 years, 15 years ago or something, is you get that feeling when everything's at your fingertips at home and you're like, well, I'm only going to go to the theatre to see like a massive, big, fucking huge thing with effects and blah, blah, blah. And I was a victim for that for a while. And it was a deeply unhappy experience. I think I sat through the first 3 Transformers films in a theatre, right? And then it kind of slowly dawns on you and you feel stupid after a while and you realize, like, no, the thing is basically any really good film, even if it's a fucking documentary with just people sitting in chairs, anything good is just a better experience, big and with people. Like it doesn't have to be a big FX. I understand something like the new Mission Impossible film certainly is, that's the place to see it if you're going to see it at all. But anything is better.
Well, I think it's really good going to see a film that's quite a bit more obscure, and that the only other people in there are there to genuinely watch the film. You're not going to get anyone next to you, necking, couple necking, or each other, or some. It's really good when you're going to get you're going to get different takes on the film within this audience. It's going to react differently, but we're all there. But that can also
be, the reverse can be annoying as well, right? I've been in some art house kind of theatres, and there's that knowing laugh.
Yeah. The NFT
they've
and
read
stuff.
the same review as you. And mom, you're thinking, that's
they're
not
primed for that one joke. Yeah. No. But
how archly comical.
Yeah, and it's not funny at all. But the experiences I've had recently have been not, like they've been in the Everyman Cinema or sometimes the Picture House and stuff like that, or the ICA maybe. But it's like they're sort of repertory cinema, but the screens are fairly small, or it's just been commercial cinema, but the days it's been a weekday. I've really enjoyed being in there with just 10, 15 other people, and it's obviously quite selfish because I don't think cinema could survive off that. But that's been good.
But also it's not ridiculously expensive as well. Is that people can take a chance on something as well, right? Like they have an hour or two to spare between things, and if something's not ridiculously expensive, I'll waste time. And I had so I'll talk to you at length maybe this late when we're off air, but I had a really great experience going to a theatre yesterday. But I had a job in the morning and I had this event I was going to in the evening, and in between I had some time to kill, and I went along to see. Do you know this recent movie, A Different Man?
No.
Okay, I think you'd find it really interesting. But it just happened to have been showing in a theatre in Shinjuku exactly the right time, and I was like, okay, I'll check that out. And yeah, it felt very much like that. It was kind of like a hybrid. It wasn't like a super art house cinema, like you could buy like popcorn and soda, but it wasn't like a full-on multiplex either. And inside was fairly well populated, but because it was a Saturday, but you could feel it was a lot of people who, like a transient kind of, let's check that out kind of thing. So not full-on cineasts, but not just people looking for a good night out on a Saturday. And I felt that the same as you. I felt in that crowd it was like a nice mix of like genuinely people just responding to,
Yeah, there's been a few recently where I go in and I kind of look around me and think, we're all really different. Like the people, everyone in the cinema, it's not been packed, but there's been enough people to have like a diaspora in the cinema. There's a really weird cross section. There's not all people wearing, like a t-shirt with, palm trees on it.
Yeah, a blue fucking thing.
Shit, fucking. Yeah. Anyway, losers.
Anyway, right. I think we may have got
Shrouds.
The
Shrouds. Yeah.
Yes. So this film. So if you remember, a while ago we did talk. Cronenberg's Crimes of the Future, right? Which we liked.
Yeah.
So this once again was almost a Viggo Mortensen and Léa Seydoux reunion, right? They were almost start this film.
Were they?
But instead of Viggo Mortensen, we get Vincent Cassel. And instead of Léa Seydoux, sorry, I'm contractually obliged to do that every time I say her name. We get Diane Kruger instead of those two. So I'm always ready for a new Cronenberg film. That doesn't mean that I give him a pass, right? But I'm just like, it's gonna be interesting. And regardless, you just see David Cronenberg, you just think interesting. But then when I heard about the concept of this film, I was just like, fuck yeah. And I heard people talk. I think, Cronenberg himself, I think, was interviewed by Mark Kermode, right, for the Kermode and Mayo show.
Right.
And David Cronenberg always gives a good account of himself, right? Like, he's always a fascinating interview. He's a fascinating man.
I'll watch that after this, I think, yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't realize as well that David Cronenberg had lost his own wife like a few years prior, right? And this film isn't necessarily, it's not a direct result of that, but certainly it's going to play into it as well, right?
Well,
and of course, David Cronenberg is I don't know what it is about David Cronenberg. Like from the beginning, I can't remember what even the first Cronenberg film I saw was, or when I first became aware of him.
The Fly?
He's just. It might have been actually The Fly, because that would have been a big hit in the 80s, and then I would have gone back. But he's just such a. And we'll talk about. So okay, we'll get to it now then, right? Just because I'm on a bit of a roll. One thing that I like about David Cronenberg, because we'll talk about all sorts of things in the specifics of this film, but the one thing that jumped out at me watching The Shrouds, and it made me, and it's something I've thought about before, but it was just reminded me. What I really like about David Cronenberg's films is they're, in a way, pushing at a certain boundary, right? Like they're very transgressive films in a way, they all do that. But not in a show-off way. So actually, a lot of his films play just on the margins of how a normal cinematic drama would play. Like a superior one, but like there's nothing about The Shrouds which is, wow, look at this, it's wild and wacky and, nothing about it, the editing, the filming, the music, how it shows me. It's all good. It's all top-notch. Editing, music, it's all top-notch, but it's within the realm of conventional. It's not showing off, it's the ideas. It allows the ideas. And then every now and again, what's brilliant about it is, like, there's one sequence on a screen when we'll explain the plot in a bit, where Vincent Cassel puts on one of the shrouds and you see and I'm thinking, fuck, this is like, the reason that works as well as it does is because up until this point, it hasn't been, hey, super weird, woo, I love his restraint. Like in some ways, he's a proper. I don't say this lightly. He's a proper intellectual film director, because he doesn't let the ideas get ahead of him. He's like, oh, this is a good, but let's reel it in. Let's reel it in. He's always been about reeling it in, but then at a certain point, he lets it go, right? And I think that's just fucking. Not many people have that understanding of how that works. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you can see what he's honed over the years. I was going to say a similar thing, just in that he'll create a world that is not like our world, but believable within our world every time.
Right.
And also not too believable within our world. Just kind of, it's just like, it's not a open a portal and go to a, Rick and Morty style, different dimension. It would be just slightly to the left of your world.
Yeah.
And then somehow, like, through loads of, masterful, things, because Vincent Cassel's, I love to see him. I haven't seen him for ages in anything.
He's really good.
He's really good.
At least he's used really well. Right?
He's used really well, but it's also his some of his acting's not that good. Sometimes you feel like the actors, maybe struggle with the parts they're given, because they are.
Yes.
Like the dialogue might not be. It's not polished dialogue.
No.
It's not like smoothly runs into one another. But everything's held together by a thread of sort of realism, only within its own reality and not within yours.
Exactly. And to your point specifically, David Cronenberg is excellent at casting, I think, is the thing. So yes, like Vincent Cassel, like I was thinking, Vincent Cassel at some point in this film, he feels like a weird hybrid of David Cronenberg himself and like Christopher Walken or something. He's like somewhere in the middle, and I'm not taking it away from Vincent Cassel. Vincent Cassel is doing that himself. He's right, but he's been put in the right place to do it.
Exactly,
right? Like,
and he's sort of like weirdly become this Vincent Cassel that we've always known, that we haven't fucking seen for ages. Huh?
Diane Kruger.
She plays both parts, right? And that's right.
Yes, and she's the voice of the Avatar. Well, yeah.
Yeah, so
as much as I'm disappointed that Lea Seydoux is not in this film, Diane Kruger is
amazing in it. But it's also, I just had to double check with you because I hadn't looked at the IMDb of it. So I was thinking, she must play both parts. That's how good she is. I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell that they weren't.
Well, the other thing, casting-wise, we haven't even got into the plot yet. I think we'll probably just get into it very briefly, just to get out of the way, so we explain. But in terms of the way the film, and we'll talk about that as well, is how the ending goes and everything, and what do you think of what the film is about. The other brilliant piece of casting as well is Guy Pearce, right? Because because I was watching the film, and it's funny, it's one of those things, like if you were watching a conventional non-Cronenberg film, you would immediately, within 5 seconds, Guy Pearce, he's the one. He's the bad guy. He's the one who's leaked the event. Like, there's no way he's not guilty of doing something bad. Just everything about the performance. And in a regular Hollywood film, you'd think, well, that's not good. That's what a predictable... But the thing is, in this film, it doesn't matter. It's deliberate. You know he's a wrong un. And that kind of wrong foots you, because the film's not really about the mystery. The film's not really about who the person it's not about that. It's more of an existential thing. But David Cronenberg's playing with conventional Hollywood tropes to kind of guide you away from that.
Yeah, I'd say on a similar Sandrine Holt, right, who plays the...
Sandrine Holt, yeah.
Yeah. So she's blind, right? But again, that was one of those things where often in Hollywood, like, you can be knocked out of it a bit. Maybe by virtue of recognition, there could be some... I don't really know Sandrine Holt, but, she was... I found that she was really convincing being blind.
Yeah, well, I think what's brilliant about that character in a way is there's nothing about... If you'd have rewritten the film as someone who could see, it doesn't really make a huge amount of difference, except it does, if you see what I mean. Like, it's not... her performance is not based around her not being able to see, right? But it adds something, but at the same time, there's no plot, there's no pivot that means based on
because she
can't see.
Yeah. I mean, I do when I'm watching a David Cronenberg film. I try to think if I didn't know this was David Cronenberg, what would I think of this film? Which is hard to do anyway. But
because this is such a difficult... I mean, sorry to cut you off.
Go on.
But just the other thing that's amazing to me about David Cronenberg, and I don't know how... Maybe the thing with the Shrouds is it's a film of these ideas, and it's a fascinating idea, and the concepts, and the way it goes. And this is such a singular, great film not a great film, actually, I wouldn't say. Not a great film, sorry, I don't hyperbole. A very good film, right? A very good film in and of itself. But then I immediately start thinking about connections to other Cronenberg films. Videodrome, Existence, Crash. There's all these things that are through line. And then I don't know how he pulls it, because other filmmakers who have these like singular obsessions, like a Russ Meyer or someone like that, they're so immediately identifiable. This person's making the same film again and again and again. And that's fine, because they're good. But with David Cronenberg, somehow you're under the illusion that each film is its own thing. But then when you actually look, when you zoom out, you realize, fuck, he's obsessed with the same things again and again. Yeah.
I mean, well, to some extent, I do think there is a through line that is obvious, but then you don't necessarily like sit down thinking you're going to get the same film from each time. No,
that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Like when we talked about Crimes of the Future, that was interesting because I thought we both liked that film as well. But that was a slightly more, I felt that was a slightly more self-aware, like greatest hits of Cronenberg.
I think there was a period of time.
Is not that, but in a way, there's as much meta self-referential stuff in the Shrouds as the Crimes of the Future, really. If you think about it.
I actually think that like there was a time where I would have felt like, do I want to go and see a Cronenberg film? Like it back around the time of Is it Existence? I think
Existence, yeah.
Where it's sort of like, do I want that? But I think that he's in his twilight years sort of thing. I think he's kind of
as many as he could do before he dies.
I think I can watch as many Cronenberg films as he can produce, because every time I think he's going to explore something in a different way. He's going to look at it from a different angle each time.
Yeah,
and I think so. It's even though the aesthetics and the sort of universe, if you like, is there. It's not all about that, so it doesn't. Yeah, whereas Existence and stuff from the 90s and things kind of maybe felt like it had much more obsession or emphasis on creating these,
Well, it's interesting, and before we go on, I'm just going to say now, actually, we're not going to bother talking about, because we've gone this far, it's fucking too late to talk about what the film is about, and you can find it online.
Yeah, I think it's
you can read about it. You can find it. We're not going to explain what this plot of the Shrouds. Look elsewhere for that. This is just our reaction. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I think it's
But what I was going to say is, I'm quite interested to go back and watch some of those. Like, for instance, Existence. I remember. Existence is interesting because Existence was one of those few times where the things Cronenberg has been interested in for years before that, the mainstream caught up with him. So I think it was mixed up with things like The Matrix.
It was Alien, wasn't it?
So it was a bit difficult to kind of differentiate it. And I don't think I've seen it since. So I'd be very interested to see Existence now, just in and of itself.
Well, because remember during that time, wasn't it either Predator or Alien? I can't remember the Chris Cunningham version of Aliens, where he'd done all the is that right? Chris Cunningham had done all the third Aliens film.
Alien, you mean?
Is it?
Yeah, is it? He didn't direct the final film, but he was. You mean?
I don't know if he'd done the direction.
FX Twin music video, Chris Cunningham.
Yeah, I don't think he'd done the direction, but he'd done all the art for it, so it was all based on his art. And so, I felt like
Aliens was such a. There were so many different versions of that, right? But you might be right. I think Chris Cunningham was involved in it.
The one with the half-human thing,
although it might have been
Resurrection.
Yes, the fourth one. Yeah.
Oh no, it was the third one. It was the third one. It was 90s, and then Existence came out around the same time, so they were lumped.
That's probably Resurrection.
That's how I feel. And they were lumped together because like they're both like fleshy and. Yeah. Sort of.
I'm glad you brought up. I'm glad you brought up Chris Cunningham though, because that's one of those names. Like, yeah, he did those amazing videos, and everyone was primed for the big
time. Yeah,
Chris Cunningham feature, and it never happened, right? Or hasn't happened yet, or
I don't know. Yeah, similar to Shane Meadows.
Shane Meadows has made.
I mean, he's made a lot of films, but he's not really. again, he's another person who I think could end up being revisited by a younger audience who really like.
I'm a big fan of. I do like Shane Meadows' stuff in general. I think some of his stuff is. I mean, the whole "This Is England" stuff is.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Big enough, isn't it? I suppose.
Huh?
That's big, I suppose. That's pretty well.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't know how big it is outside the UK though. But
anyways,
anyway, back to no. So you were saying about Existence and the other one actually. I think the other Cronenberg film because there's not many Cronenberg films that I didn't love when I first saw them, but I think the other one I wasn't a huge fan of. Anyway, I think it was the next one he did after Existence. Do you remember Spider?
No, I don't think I've seen it.
Based on an Ian McEwan novel, maybe. Natasha Richardson was in it.
Let me look up.
Early 2000s.
I don't know. Maybe I've seen that.
I remember seeing that, and that I remember that being a bit of a disappointment to me. But I'm always ready to try again because the big one for me has always been Crash, right? I remember when Crash came out. If you remember when Crash came out in the UK, it was a huge fucking.
I didn't see it at the time. I think I might have seen it.
Obviously, you wouldn't be able to see it because they didn't get they wouldn't play it anywhere, right?
Yeah, I remember the sort of
And I remember Darren had to get a bootleg copy from the Psychotronic store in London. I think it's safe to say that now the statute of limitations have run out. And I remember Darren watching Crash and saying, "It's fucking boring." And then, really? And then I went round Darren's house and watched it, and he read a book while I watched it. And I came to the same conclusion. I was like, "Fuck, Darren, you're right. That was fucking boring." I couldn't believe that this Cronenberg film was so boring. And then I think it was normally, if I have that reaction, I'm not going to give it a second chance, right? But because it's Cronenberg, I watched it and then the third time I watched Crash, I suddenly clicked and I was like, how the fuck did I not see this before? Crash is fucking amazing.
Right.
And then I went to read the novel it's based on, the J.G. Ballard novel, and I watched it a fourth time. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, this film is extraordinary. How the hell did I... But sometimes you're not ready, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes you're not ready.
Yeah, I want to rewatch The Fly. I mean...
Yeah.
I haven't seen it since the 80s. So I think I'm going to watch that with my daughter. She'll be into that. But yeah, Crash, yeah. And so you can get that now, right, without...
Yeah, you should have no problem now, yeah. But back in the day, yeah, that was a big... but that was kind of towards the end of crazy British censorship, right? That was in that era... Because I remember it was weird. It was very weird for me because, as you know, I left the UK in 99. And things changed really fast, right? So I left in 99, came back in 2003 and went to a news agent or something. And you have cheap DVDs, £5 DVDs next to the counter. And you got Driller Killer, Uncut. What the? What happened?
Yeah, I can't remember what happened. I remember it was something to do with it was the Blair government, right?
Yeah, change of regime. Anyway, so back to the Shrouds. So, well, did you like the Shrouds, Robin? Let's start there.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I thought that it's, it came across as a sort of a mystery with sort of one sequence of events sort of building on the next, and the mystery unfolding. I don't know how to not like ruin it or whatever, but it ends in a similar way to is it Crimes of the Future, where they're eating plastic, or is that the other one that I watched recently?
I can't remember now.
The one with Viggo Mortensen was eating plastic, was he?
I can't remember.
A History of... No, I didn't watch that. Anyway, okay.
That's another great film.
Yeah.
History of Violence.
No, anyway, yeah, so there's, sort of an abrupt end to it. I don't want to go into what the ending is, but it sort of doesn't, in other words, again, you realise he's not really giving you a Hollywood whodunit thriller unfolding of the thing. He's just luring you into a reality that continues once you're gone.
Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of how I took it. I'm not into. I don't think we need to. There's no definite. It's you interpret as you want ending. But it's interesting that we both kind of landed on that kind of. Yeah, it seems to be. It's almost as if, because obviously he's a man consumed with grief, right? And it's like, well, his obsession. It's a bit like a conspiracy theory in a way. Like his chase for the truth is never ending because you'll never find it, and it's a similar thing, right? Like you're never gonna. You can look at your dead wife's corpse in the grave as long as you like. You're never gonna figure it out why, or there's never gonna be like a reason, right? It's just you're as in the film, you're on a plane to a different destination, and it's not negative. It's not positive. It's just, but clearly at a certain point, he needs to let go. But even what I liked about the film is that's a very simple bit, but at the same time, well, even if you don't, that's kind of okay too.
But what did you want to say?
No, I think basically what I wanted to say got on screen just before we were cut off.
Oh, you reckon?
Heaven forbid that the world should be.
Well, they need every thought. That's why our videos are 6 hours long.
But I've been yapping for a while, so you have a shot at it.
I forgot what we were talking about. I know we were talking about the Shrouds.
Well, I think we were kind of talking about just the general, like, because obviously the way the film ends is, not the way that I can imagine some people find it kind of slightly maddening, or because nothing's tied up, right? As you said, the film is set up as a grand mystery, but it's not solved. And it's not as if, it's not like the Shrouds 2 coming soon, it's not going to be, the trailer's going to be like, I'm going to find out what happened to my wife's body,
What, why do the Shrouds keep doing that? I need to know. Well, the other thing I wanted to say...
Shrouds are coming from inside the house.
I gotta get rid of these Shrouds. Yeah, God. I was thinking about the avatar as well, the sort of Facebook style avatar. Right. That was another funny kind of jarring, I don't know, in the hands of it. That's what I remember what I wanted to talk to you about, but I'll say in a second. In the hands of someone else, again, or I don't know if it's my own Cronenberg prejudice or whatever, but I was like, it was jarring, but then it kind of like seeps in as kind of like, well, it makes sense because we're in our current time, but we've just gone to the right, whereas Crimes of the Future was the future, and again it was like, I think Vincent Cassel sells that. I think that's the thing about
because Vincent Cassel is, and again, it's not a negative thing at all. I'm not, because Vincent Cassel is just a little bit off.
Yeah.
Then you accept everything, right?
Yeah,
everything's a little bit off. And didn't you think? I really like, so two things as the more or less the opening scene where Vincent Cassel is having a date with another woman and basically explaining what the shrouds are and everything. I thought that was fucking brilliant. Just the way it increasingly, because he does seem like genuinely, wow, what a charming guy, right?
Charming,
think, what
but
a
not
charming, single, wealthy guy, and then just increasingly he seems to just be more and more kind of I don't know what the word. I thought that was played really well, like incrementally really well.
Well, I mean, it starts off with a really bad date with really bad dialogue. You know, like, oh God, how long is this going to go on for? And it releases you from that, but pushes you into a new bit, which is like, okay, thank you, because I couldn't take much more of that. Into let's go and have a look at the gravestone. So he's supposed to be the suave, sophisticated businessman, but he's not. He's a weird obsessional, guy. Why the fuck did he make this thing in the first place? Why? But yeah, what I wanted to say
but it's not totally like you're not against him either, because in a way you
can
kind of admire his kind of zeal in a way. Like,
well, when he says, through the most emotional part of the film, I think, is when he says how his, and he says that right early in the beginning as well, that his, so it starts on that premise. His wife died and he wanted to jump in the grave, had an unbelievable urge to, and he explains that really well in a Vincent Cassel way, which is like this way about him, was sort of emotional, but sort of, distant at the same time, so you understand him. And I was there with him. I do understand. Like I do. Even though I haven't experienced it myself, I can understand it.
Well, there's the other bit I think as well, which is really well. Again, you feel almost as if sometimes you feel as if you're a Cronenberg apologist, as if you're reading too much into it. But then, oh God damn it, he's ahead of you. It's exact. There's like the bit where Guy Pearce wants to insist to talk next to a. It's so ridiculous to talk next to a waterfall so they won't be recorded, right? And he's talking about it was the Russians, but then the Chinese, and then he goes to him. Who was that guy who talked to you? The doctor, was he Chinese? and it's so fucking ridiculous, like as if the Chinese really wanted to spy on you, they couldn't find someone Caucasian or something. It's so ridiculous conspiracy theory, and you think, oh, this film's jumped a shot. And that was the point when I started to realize, oh, hang on, this film's not actually about solving the mystery, right? This is part of the game that it's playing, right? Like, it seemed so silly. Not to say that those kind of geopolitics don't exist, but you'd have to be really naive to think that it plays out so obviously, like on the surface. Was the person who said that Chinese? Then that's the clue that is a conspiracy.
Well, Vincent Cassel points out some of the way through the film as well, the inconsistency of the Hollywood style convenience of like saying the Chinese would, or is it the Russians? The Russians, I think it was, could use this to kind of access and he's like, well, why not just use, like, they've got loads of ways to do that.
And they play as well with the whole thing, I think, as well, the fact that he has his apartment is in the Japanese style, and then the Sandrine Holt character is Korean, isn't she? But there's so many mistakes of a Chinese, and so it's playing with that kind of whole thing as well, where people just they just kind of confused. No, and the other, didn't you think the scene where when he tries on the shroud himself and you see you see on the screen, you see his skeleton, and I thought that scene was extraordinary. it was mesmeric to me to see him doing it. But I was thinking, if they put that at the beginning of the film, at like, this is how the shrouds work or something, that wouldn't be so good, right? But it's been off screen, you've never really seen it. But then suddenly in the middle, he puts the it's like he's never really considered what it is to do it. He's invented it. He's a clever motherfucker, but he's never really considered what it is. And then he just puts it on, and he's awkwardly putting it on, and we see on the screen. I thought that scene was just fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what struck. I mean, I liked it, but and I thought it was good. But what struck you as kind of mesmeric about it?
Well, nothing beyond that, other than I just thought it was a fantastic visual. I just think it was really and I like that it was just in the middle as kind of a. Yeah, I just like the fact that until that point he'd never really thought about it. In the same way as I could imagine, Elon Musk has never considered getting into one of his own rockets, like.
Yeah. No, I see that. Yeah, like and this sort of it scanning through him was quite like on from the surface through kind of as he was moving it around or something. It was kind of weird.
No, it was very sparingly. No, God damn it, David Cronenberg's. I mean, the man's fucking 82 years old. When I'm 82 years old, I'm probably just going to be doing this. Like, that's just fucking.
Well, we'll be making videos.
No, we'll be doing this. Yeah. We'll be doing the. Hang on, how old are we now? 40. We'll be doing the, 40th anniversary show review of the Shrouds.
Well, we'll only be on episode like 28, though.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, what I was going to say was that I can't remember who it is, but the one who did the, James.
His son.
That's Brandon Cronenberg, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Brandon Cronenberg is like a developing Cronenberg syndrome, right? In that he's still too scattergun, and like there's one, like maybe 3 ideas in the Shrouds, right? There's the idea of the Shrouds themselves, and then there's also kind of this playing with the AI avatar thing and just sort of lightly playing with that. And then this, I mean, in terms of sort of future-y ideas or kind of reality-based ideas, I guess the third one would be just this sort of, I don't know, messy existence. I don't know what you think would be the 3 ideas or how many ideas it would be, but in the film. But all I'm saying is that he, he just sort of narrows the parameters of the film.
Yeah.
So that they come together.
In retrospect, now looking back, so for instance, recently we talked about Videodrome with Ron on a show, and it's interesting how back in the day I thought Videodrome was just like fuck, and I still think it's a really good film, but it's interesting how the video technology of it has dated it in a way like it's very difficult to take seriously the notion of some kind of viral thing that's gonna long live the new flesh via videotapes in a post kind of internet and social media environment. So it seems slightly dated. But in general, I think the thing with David Cronenberg is, even though he's fascinated in the latest developments, at its core, all his films they're very human themes, right? Like, this is, in a way, about this extremely cutting-edge technology, which apparently, he says, does kind of conceptually exist. You could have the Shrouds now. They don't, but you could have the idea. But that's just his engine. That's just the way he uses to make stories. The actual core of the story, the things, the concerns, they're not necessarily about the tech, right? They're very, very eternal, endless human concerns, right? They're about, in this case, of grief, right? For example, or the search for knowledge, the kind of almost ridiculous, useless search for knowledge or closure when you're never going to get it. And all his films are like that, really. Like none of his, I can't think of any of his films which, even though they all have this high tech, I can't think of any of his films where the tech is the point of the film.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, this is, I guess, that's what I was going to say. The third thing was grief, but I was more searching for kind of like, there's that, the body aspect, to the whole thing as well, isn't there? Like,
right. Yeah, the body horror thing.
The breakdown of the body, but also the worship of the body as well. He really worships his wife's body, and and as she's getting sick, it's kind of it explores that nature of beauty and body, and you kind of the feel of her is, you can feel her in that film, when she's kind of breaking in his arms and things. It's kind of I don't know, it made me wonder what Cronenberg's relationship with his wife was like, whether there's
his son. Or his son, right? Right.
What about it?
No, or his relationship with his son in a way as well, right?
Yeah.
Because I do it because I really like Brandon Cronenberg's first film, Antiviral. I was less keen on Possessor, and we talked about Infinity Pool, which had some interesting stuff, but didn't really.
I thought it was really
and it's also
good. It stayed. I thought that was really good and stayed with me. But it was, like you said, it had the disparateness of the ideas didn't gel together.
Yeah, no. It was definitely. I'm glad it's a film that was made. It's got some interesting ideas, and I'm here. If there's a new Brandon Cronenberg film, I will see it. But I suppose it is slightly unfair to compare him to his dad, really, because he seems to be on his own. He's on his own journey, right? Let's put it that way.
Well, yeah.
There's no doubt there's a connection, but.
Well, I forgot that it was by Cronenberg. So that's so the connection in my mind was.
That's probably how he would like it, right?
Yeah. The connection in my mind was, the ability to like, or the question in my mind is again, is if you went back and watched Cronenberg's films, would you gradually see him learning how to put disparate ideas or put a few ideas and then pare them down to what really, makes them come together and things,
I suppose the trouble with him is he just seems to have fucking nailed it out the gate, right? I mean, I might need to watch some again, but I remember seeing his first few student features, Stereo, and the original Crimes of the Future, and they are actually quite boring. Like very boring, actually. But then as soon as he starts making commercial films, he makes Shivers, right, in 1975. And to me, that's still like one of his very best films. Like just out the gate, he just seems to have just fucking nailed that.
I'm pretty sure I've seen Shivers, but I don't remember what.
Shivers is just, if you've never seen it, it's fucking amazing. It is like that sweet spot between it's a proper full-on exploitation film, but it's also a film of ideas, and it's just it's as good now as it ever. It's 50 years old now, as well, which is kind of scary.
So okay, well, anyway,
right. So anyway, yes, we have talked
kind of Cronenberged ourselves out now, I think. Unless there's anything else you
Let's
want to
hope
say.
he gets to make another film anyway.
Yeah.
Anything else?
It probably is. No, I don't. Yeah, I can't think of anything.
Is there anyone out there actually like, I wish they'd talk for another hour?
Damn it. I think we might have talked about Cronenberg for about 3 hours. But I don't know. Because it's 5 o'clock now. I don't know what time we signed.
It's 1.
Yeah.
No, time to go.
Time to go.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, this has been, and it's time to go. I'm actually going to go.
Oh, you okay?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I understand. It's probably very late.
We'll catch up next time.
Yeah.
So it's the end of day release. It is also the end of our chat, Robin.
Yeah.
It's very sad. But I'm glad you're looking so well.
I'm glad you're looking so mysterious.
Yeah. And there'll be more day release, no doubt.
Soon. Oh, I've got a film I want to watch with you, the local shop guy, the Tamil guy in there recommended.
He's got a new one? Recommended?
It's called, where is it? It's called Kalki 2890 something. It's like it's an Indian, it's a diaspora almost film. I think it's mainly Telugu, but anyway, and it's a sci-fi film based on the kind of the I think it might be the Hindu, but a thing of like there being cycles, and we're in this cycle called the Kali cycle or something. Anyway,
happy to do that. And also the other thing I noticed while I was basically researching Harbin, oddly enough, that thing you were saying about some right-wing Japanese politicians took against it. They took against that, and there's another new, recent at least, so 2023, mainland Chinese film about Unit 731, right, which was set in Harbin, which was the men behind the sun and the experimental unit that is shrouded in mystery and urban myth. So there we go. We have 2 potential titles for the next show. So there's no stopping us.
There's no stopping us. It's all uphill from here.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everyone. See you all again next time. Okay. Bye.